I won't lie to you, friends. Something about Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest really gets under my bold skin. And you know what? It's solely down to the word game in the title. I mean, surely it should be games plural, right? But I tell you what will annoy you watching this even more, and that's the fact that after seeing a ton of amazing games, plural, across the event, we lucky ducks actually got to get hands-on with a fair few of them thanks to the Playdays weekend. So I thought to myself, why not get the gang together for a super list of the best games that we've played that, unfortunately, you'll have to wait a little longer to get to grips with. It's a Future Games Show, WhatCulture and Games Radar super collaboration, and these are the best games that we've played that you haven't yet. Sorry about that. Now, my Stuntman Hollywood experience was a revolving door of surprises. For a start, I, alongside many others, wasn't expecting a new entry into the beloved Stuntman franchise in the first bloody place. For another, I wasn't expecting it to feature iconic movie and TV vehicles. And finally, I didn't expect it to be so bloody good that I'm now driving around the back streets of Cardiff making racing noises and yelling out, "Clip the boxes!" Side note, for the sake of my insurance and those worried about me, I drive a Citigo, so I'm not exactly going fast enough to knock over even a pizza box, let alone cause any damage. Whoa! There's so much to love about Stuntman Hollywood, from the arcade-like handling that kicks out the back end of your car in dramatic fashion, to the oversaturated hues that blast your retinas with each explosion or hazy sunset. There are new indicators that pop up to let you know just how close you're expected to get to other objects to score big that help you lock in. And a free stunt feature allows you to perform tricks outside of what the director is calling out, meaning that you can hit a zen-like state of stunting. It is pure, over-the-top silliness, and I am 100% here for it. Hell, I would have taken the game without the universal tie-ins, and to me that is just a hefty bonus. Stuntman is back, baby, and my engine is revving. Although, admittedly, it's just a 1 litre, because again, Citigo.
Now, I love a good survival horror game, and we were all jumping for joy back in 2014 when we got one of the era's genre greats with the original Alien Isolation. It obviously wasn't perfect, but I would still wager that it shows up on lists of the best licensed video games to this day. At Summer Game Fest, we got an incredibly small taste of Alien Isolation 2, and you know what? I think this one might join its sibling, primarily because so far it's just more of what people liked about the first. Scurrying under tables and in vents, defenseless and shivering in fear, like how I did that one time when Jules came looking for me after I edited his face onto the tummy of all the Teletubbies. But we did get to experience a little bit of the new stuff it has to offer, like vertical clambering and hanging from ledges, as well as, of course, a rainy, muddy forest setting. So often is Alien media understandably confined to cramped spaces, so I'm curious and excited to see how the team handles this completely new environment. So here's to Creative Assembly and the promising future of Alien ISO 2. I look forward to panicking and accidentally burning down an entire forest with a flamethrower whilst trying to escape the xenomorph.
This is pod racing.
I was skeptical heading into my hands-on session with Star Wars Galactic Racer. I love the playfulness of Mario Kart, the open world of Forza, and the whole Star Wars franchise for the most part. But I was apprehensive that Galactic Racer would have anything to entice me beyond my first few pod races. I expected to leave the session enjoying my time with the game, but having no real want to play any more of it. Luckily, I was dead wrong, and Galactic Racer has surprised the hell out of me, securing my second most anticipated Game of the Year slot right behind GTA. Mainly because I had no idea that Galactic Racer was a roguelike. Yep, you heard me, this game is a Star Wars racing roguelike. Your run starts with you joining an underground criminal racing season. You get shown a very Slay the Spire style map, with several races to pick from on each race day, and each has their own variations and possible rewards. Then, after completing the race, you'll get to pick from several items that can improve your speeder. Some of these upgrades also have negative effects. So you might corner better but overheat your boost quicker. Or your boost might be 200% more effective, but only when it's about to explode your engine right from under you. At one point between races, I did get the option to visit a vendor in the hub that could repair the negative effects of the dodgy part that I'd fitted to my skim speeder, but I didn't have enough credits to take them up on the offer. The point is, I thought I would be bored after 20 minutes with Galactic Racer, but the roguelike genre has got its hooks in me once again. showing me the endless possibilities, builds, and giving me the addictive dopamine hit at the end of each successful race when selecting my next upgrade. You can feel the burnout DNA from the dev team as you blast around tight valleys and take out rivals in stylish slow-mo kill cams. I'm hoping the full game has an interesting story, characters, and maybe even some options to make friends or rivals in the hubs between races. But honestly, if it's just more of what I experienced in the hands-on preview, I won't be mad at that either. Star Wars Galactic Racer releases on October 6th and will be available on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
The golden age of the Galactic League begins now!
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
The best game for me at Summer Game Fest was actually a surprise hands-on at IGN Live. Stage Tour is the spiritual sequel to the Guitar Hero franchise, being developed by a newly reformed Red Octane, with staff who worked across the original Guitar Hero series from the beginning, working on the new release. I played 2 songs on expert difficulty, Red Hot Chili Peppers' Danny California and Ratatata by Baby Metal. Fortnite Festival and Clone Hero have taken up the mantle from Guitar Hero and Rock Band over the years. With Fortnite Festival being developed by Harmonix, it plays more like Rock Band, and Clone Hero a more community-driven PC project. This has left a space open for the more hammer-on and crazy fingerwork style gameplay of the Guitar Hero series, with a fresh new setlist and tight gameplay that reminded me of Guitar Hero 3. Even if the background visuals are a bit more Guitar Hero 1, sadly. In my coverage for WhatCulture Gaming, I said that jumping in reminded me of the Ratatouille gif of the fella eating food and being transported back to childhood. And you know what? I stick to that statement. Although it was only a short hands-on with Stage Tour, I really enjoyed my time with it and cannot wait to play more.
The FBC locked me in that cell for years and forgot about me.
I promised Jules I wouldn't use my spot in this video to continue yapping about Control Resonant, but I'm here now and I'm going to. Fooled you, mate. What a mug. My devotion to Remedy's surreal Lynchian universe is well documented, but I was somewhat curious as to how its latest melee-heavy action RPG would actually feel in the hands of the player, given that we spent most of the first Control firing a gun and telekinetically lobbing paper shredders. Control Resonant casts you as Dylan Faden, the wayward sibling of former protagonist Jesse Faden, who, after being locked up in the Bureau for basically his entire adult life, now has the chance to stretch his legs across a warped version of Manhattan, overrun by the hostile supernatural entity known as the Hiss. There's also recently been a mysterious AWE, that's Altered World event, in the city, which is why the streets have gone full-on Inception, the pigeons are glitching, and that car is now made of interdimensional Play-Doh. And rather than hurling office supplies from a safe distance, Dylan is getting up close and personal with enemies in combat that feels frenzied, visceral, and way more dynamic than that of its predecessor. At the start of the game, you'll choose between 3 primary forms for Dylan's shape-shifting melee weapon, the Aberrant, which includes a heavy blade designed to cleave through a single target, a pair of fast-paced twin daggers, and a far-reaching scythe ideal for crowd control. And it doesn't stop there. You get a second form less than an hour in, picking between a heavy hammer slam, an extension of your weapon into a kind of deadly whip, and a drill, which does what it says on the tin, to be honest. Doing the math, that's 9 different attack combinations to play with before you layer on all the supernatural abilities like shockwave punches and exploding shields of debris. I picked the scythe-like slash at first and paired it with drill, on the advice of Dylan's actor Sean Durry. But once they let me off leash in a later section of the game, I was able to respec my entire skill tree and feel like a kid in a sweet shop trying every possible combination, whipping twin daggers around my head and flattening Hiss into the concrete with a giant mallet. Aside from weapon variety, there are also brutal executions, where Dylan leaps onto the back of an enemy and rips into their jugular with his blade like a wild animal. He even had an angry Kratos moment on a Resonant boss during my session. Oh Christ, why is it always the eyes? And if you chain enough of these executions together, you'll enter Bloodlust, juicing up your speed and damage, and initiating a satisfyingly frenetic Dylan May Cry mode where you're whipping around the screen killing everything you touch. It's official, guys, Remedy can add action RPG to the list of things they can do alongside survival horror, sci-fi thriller, and musicals. If you know, you know. The surprising depth of combat and the more ruthless approach to it was chief among the things I wanted to highlight, particularly to fans of Bayonetta, Stellar Blade, and old school God of War. But from what I saw of the story, which I won't spoil, we frequent dwellers of the Remedyverse are also in for a treat. Not long to wait either. Control Resonant lands on September 24th. Let's flippin' go!
If you watched the Blood Message trailer during Summer Game Fest, then I would not be at all surprised if you came away saying, "That looks cool, but where's the gameplay?" Well, here's the news you've been waiting for. That was in-game. I got to play around 20 minutes of it, and it's every bit as impressive as you want it to be. So much so that if you told me it was going to be a next-gen, i.e. PlayStation 6 or next Xbox game, I wouldn't have questioned it. The seamless transition from in-game story moment to you taking control was just as impactful as the first time you got to do that in Uncharted or God of War. There were even times when I was left standing still because I was waiting for the gameplay section to start, when in fact, I was already in control. The combat feels great as well. In the demo, there were two attacks, light and heavy. The first is your basic move for combining with parry and block to take down enemies, but even this at times feels like some of the best choreographed fight scenes from a Hollywood blockbuster, with environmental takedowns seamlessly mixing into the combat, and even your AI-controlled companion lending a surprisingly useful and unintrusive hand when you're in need. The heavy attack is predictably slower, and used to destroy shields that some of your foes start to carry around after the demo's midway point. It's a tried and tested, some might say basic control scheme, but each swing you take towards an enemy has weight, and there's a satisfying crunch as your blade plunges into an enemy torso. If you'd rather not kill everyone as soon as they enter your line of sight, there is an option to use the environment to stealth your way around some encounters by crouching in bushes, luring enemies away from the path, and creeping around behind boxes and walls. If you're familiar with Assassin's Creed's stealth sections, then you'll get the idea here. Towards the end of the demo, there were some incredible set-piece sections that have you running through buildings away from a huge boss-like figure who I suspect we'll see again later in the story, blinding someone with your own finger, jumping over tables, crashing through windows, and flying through flimsy rooftops. It was absolutely one of my highlights of the entire week, and I can't wait to see more of it.
These are experiences like no other.
The box. You opened it. They came.
It's just a puzzle box!
Oh no. When you hear the announcement of a new game based on a well-known horror franchise, I feel like one can be forgiven for having their eyes glaze over just a little. The largely ghastly menagerie of spooky simulators and asymmetrical horror titles that flood the genre have left a somewhat sour taste in the mouths of normally over-eager horror fans. So when Hellraiser Revival was announced, I didn't really think much of it, but then I got to actually play some. Hellraiser as a movie is one of those franchises I've always held in high regard, alongside Candyman in the camp of it's weird these movies became generic slashers when the first entry is so oozing with subtext and depth and doesn't at all fit the typical slasher structure, which is why my ears perked up when the developers over at Saber Interactive told us that the first and second movies would be the ones they took the most inspiration from for this first-person survival horror game. Now let's stop beating around the bush. How does it feel to play? Hellraiser Revival mixes a surprising amount of influences. In the 2 and a bit sections I played, it swung wildly from Dishonored, PT, and environmental puzzle games like Portal and Outer Wilds. But none of it felt incongruous, which was the most impressive part of the whole thing. The demo had us playing as the protagonist, Aiden Lynch, whose girlfriend got in with a bad crowd, the Hellish Cenobites. The first section of the demo focuses on action, showing off Resident Evil 4 style inventory management, coloured keys to unlock doors to get other keys to unlock other doors, always a fun gameplay loop, powerful Dishonored style abilities achieved through the iconic configuration cube, allowing you to pull fire off walls and throw it at enemies, or impale people on sharp metal around the room. There's a lot to love here. The gunplay, however, is fine. Hitting the kink gear-laden enemies is satisfying, breaking their armor has great visual feedback, but something about the actual feedback from firing the guns is missing a certain pop. This could just be from the game being in an early state, but every time I missed an enemy, which as a games journalist I did a lot, it felt a little flaccid. Speaking of which, the next segment I got to play was something I'm always happy to see, their own take on the ever-influential and forever lost PT. looping hallways in an empty house where every time something changes just a little. The thing that stuck out to me most here was the writing. Solving puzzles in this area was fun enough, but as you move through it you find notes and letters describing what Aiden's girlfriend wanted to do to him as she descended further and further into the pleasure and pain loop the Cenobites feed off. There were points where I had to look around, instinctively making sure no one was looking at the deeply sexual content on my screen. It felt like reading someone's most depraved private DMs, and did a great job actually capturing that feeling. Sadly, we don't have any other footage of this section, so I won't spend too long on it, but it really felt true to the atmosphere of Hellraiser. The final portion of the demo was just one puzzle. Deep in Hellraiser's rocky, ruined version of Hell, Aiden finds that he can use the configuration cube to physically move sections of the room he's in around, and I had to figure out the correct orientation of each section of the room to get to the other side. I'm always a fan of puzzles that have you fully reshaping the environment. The spectacle of it is great. Not that you'd know, as we don't have footage of this either, but take my word for it. Going into this demo, I didn't know what to expect, but coming out, I remarked directly to Jules that this could end up being my favourite game that I got the chance to play at Summer Games Fest. I've wondered for a while what a game adaptation of Hellraiser could look like, and it seems that Saber Interactive have such sights to show us. Hellraiser Revival is releasing on October 8th for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox.
What was forbidden is now offered.
Final Fantasy VII Revelation, Resident Evil Veronica, Blood Message, Alien Isolation 2. We saw so many amazing AAA games at Summer Game Fest. However, who cares about any of them when we have an indie game that is likely to end friendships from Sega of all people? I got the chance to go hands-on with Sonic Pico Park, the brand new collaboration between Pico Park developers Teco Park and Sonic publishers Sega, and this game is every bit as fun and frustrating as its main series brethren. Like the original Pico Park games, this will see you taking on a variety of co-op puzzles as you try to work out how to proceed to each level's exit. However, this time around you will also get unique abilities based on the various playable Sonic characters. Sonic's Spin Dash attack, Knuckles' Glide, Tails' Flight. Each character has a unique ability that will be vital to success. If you've played the Pico Park games before, you'll know what to expect. Plenty of puzzles designed to infuriate and have you laughing out loud in equal measure. The addition of the Sega mascot's gallery of characters brings a fun new wrinkle to proceedings, and the theme levels I got to play were a ton of fun. I look forward to getting the gang together to rage about who just spin dashed me off the edge of the level when Sonic Pico Park launches later this year.
And there we have it, my friends, a ton of games for you to get excited about that we've tested and can vouch for their quality, or at least the tech demos that they've shown us. A massive shout out to all members of WhatCulture, Games Radar and the FGS team for helping me make this list, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Give everyone a follow and check out their channels if you've not already, and let me know what you're most excited for out of the games that we've played. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome, my friends, never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.